Welcome. This is 5 on 20 News. My name is Richard Aguirre.
I'm Mike Esham. Coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. It's Monday, July 24th. Let's talk local headlines.
Let's. Monsoon storms are occurring less often, but with more extreme rains and winds, according to a recent study by the University of Arizona's Hydrology and Atmospheric Sciences Department. The study looked at data from 1950 to 1970, then compared similar data from 1991 to 2010. Authors of the study claim that climate change is considered a factor in the changing monsoon activity. They determined that the most extreme weather occurred in Bullhead City, Kingman, and the greater Phoenix metro areas.
An Arizona environmental official told a House panel last week that a rule requiring mining companies to have sufficient cash on hand to clean up environmental problems is unnecessary. Brett Park, a deputy director of the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, told the committee that the state already has adequate regulations to address the issue. The proposed rule would require companies in certain industries, such as hard rock mining, to demonstrate that they have funds to clean up hazardous material. Park said that this places a high economic burden on the state's mining companies because it would require them to keep hundreds of millions of dollars in cash on reserve. But Laurel Pagel, director of Earthworks, said that the rule is needed to ensure that companies are able to fund a cleanup in the case of an environmental emergency. Representative Paul Gosar questioned Pagel's statements and asked her to check out the targeted sites to see how mining companies are taking precautions to prevent environmental violations. He told her to walk a mile in our moccasins before making accusations about how ineffective and inefficient mining is. Pagel then tried to take a walk in Gosar's moccasins, but they immediately fell apart and accidentally polluted the surrounding groundwater.
My mom used to tell me, if you make a mess, clean it up.
My mom too.
The Tucson Police Department is creating a special board that will review officers' use of force while out in the field. Sergeant James Wakefield said that the Force Review Board seeks to restore faith in the community that the department is providing adequate safeguards against abuse. 6 residents were chosen for the board to see how officers use force in the streets. The board will then be able to make recommendations for policy and training changes.
A man shot himself on the grounds of Pima Community College's downtown campus yesterday and remains in critical condition, according to police. Police found the man in the PCC library alive but unresponsive. They believe that he broke into the facility around 3:30 in the morning and a shot was heard minutes later. The library is closed for repairs and classes don't start until August, so authorities say that no one should have been on campus.
That's why I transferred out of Pima.
I just dropped out.
Ooh. Arizona Attorney General Mark Bronovich is asking the state's university regents to explain why the so-called Dreamers should pay the same tuition as other Arizona residents. He's referring to a policy where Dreamers can receive in-state tuition to attend Arizona universities. The AG's office is considering legal action against the Arizona Board of Regents for a policy which Bronovich believes is illegal. This is because of the 2006 voter-approved law made in-state tuition off-limits to students without lawful immigration status. However, in 2012, the Obama administration approved the DACA program, which granted recipients the right to work in the state. Maricopa County colleges argued that this also entitles them to receive in-state tuition. However, a recent ruling by the state's Court of Appeals ruled that a similar tuition policy was illegal for Maricopa County community colleges. But a spokesperson for the AG said that they would rather not launch a legal battle until the state's Supreme Court has a chance to consider the issue. Former Arizona Senator Russell Pierce and the group Justice Watch said that they may also launch legal action against the Board of Regents. Now in national and international news.
President Trump's nominee to a key EPA post who ran a consulting firm that helped corporations get away with polluting drinking water, according to a report by The Intercept. Michael Dorson was named head of chemical safety and pollution prevention last week. This despite running the consulting firm Toxicology Excellent for Risk Assessment, who helped DuPont to avoid providing clean water to people in West Virginia after the company contaminated drinking water near one of their plants. In 2000, DuPont allowed the chemical PFOA, which is used in Teflon, to seep into the water near the plant. The company was tasked with settling safety levels for PFOA that would determine when DuPont had to provide clean water to West Virginia residents. DuPont called upon Dorson and his consultation firm, who set the safety levels 150 times higher than the level that DuPont's own scientists determined was safe back in 1988. Internet emails showed that a DuPont employee suggested Dorson's firm because he would be able to, quote, assemble a package and then sell this to the EPA. PFOA has been tied to kidney and testicular cancer, thyroid disease, immune deficiency, and other health problems. In 2016, the EPA set a national drinking water level for PFOB at 0.07 parts per billion, which is thousands of times lower than the number set by Dorson's firm. With Dorson in charge of the agency who sets these limits, it's possible that these limits could be raised, putting citizens at risk for consuming drinking water containing dangerous levels of PFOB.
Pepsi, Unilever, and Nestle, among other corporations, have been accused of helping to destroy Sumatra's last tract of rainforest. Plantations built on deforested lands has also been used to supply palm oil for companies such as McDonald's, Mars, Kellogg's, Procter & Gamble, according to a new report by Rainforest Action Network, or RAN. The group used satellite data, photographic evidence, and GPS coordinates to show illegal forested clearances along over 7,700 square miles of land. These clearings happened despite a ban on forested clearances being announced last June. The land is shared by elephants, orangutans, rhinos, and tigers, who the report says could suffer from the ecosystem loss if the clearings continue. The study found that the palm oil passes through a complex supply chain involving 3 different countries before it meets its endpoint. The largest of these companies, ABN, said that they didn't realize where they were getting their palm oil from because the other companies and suppliers continually changed their name. However, RAN said that if a small nonprofit can figure it out, then a multi-billion-dollar corporation should be able to discover where they're getting their supplies from. Already, the forested land are impacting the area's ecosystem. The area is noted as having one of the highest deforestation rates in the world. Pepsi, Unilever, and Nestle admitting to sourcing their palm oil from the companies named in the report, and said that they would conduct an internal investigation. The investigation will aim to find better ways to conceal illegal forest clearings from the public by digging up dirt on RAN.
The House and Senate agreed on new sanctions on Russia, Iran, and North Korea over the weekend. The deal involved an amendment that would ban any attempts by the president to block sanctions on Russia, which appears to be a direct challenge to Trump. The original legislation passed the Senate easily earlier this month with a 97-2 vote. That piece of legislation did not include North Korea, which was added to this bill. The House is expected to vote on the legislation on Tuesday, the same day as a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing on U.S. policy toward North Korea. The bill targets North Korea's ballistic missile program, along with individuals who have benefited from what Congress calls an energy oligarchy. Congress is waiting to see how the president will react to the legislation and whether he'll sign or veto the bill. A veto would likely set Trump up for public criticism for what would be construed as protecting Russia. In response, Trump has suggested a new round of sanctions aimed at Congress for blocking his attempts to protect Mother Russia.
A United States airstrike killed 16 members of the Afghan National Security Forces over the weekend. The strike came during operations against Taliban fighters in Helmand province. United States officials say that they are investigating the circumstances that led to the mistake. The strike hit a security compound soon after another strike was launched to repel Taliban fighters. After the first strike, local forces entered the compound only to be victims of the second launch. An official statement from the Pentagon said that we would like to express our deepest condolences to the families affected by this unfortunate incident. Among Afghan forces killed were 2 commanders, according to local media in Afghanistan.
Last Thursday, Congress introduced a bill that would give young immigrants the chance at permanent residence and a possible path to citizenship. The bill, introduced by Republican Lindsey Graham and Democrat Dick Durbin, aims to help so-called dreamers establish citizenship. A new report by the Migration Policy Institute said that the bill could affect as many as 1.8 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. if it's passed. Under the bill, immigrants would receive permanent residence if they've been in the U.S. for at least 4 years, were younger than 17 when they arrived in the U.S., be in school or graduated and pass a physical exam. They would also be expected to submit biometric data and pay fees to attain residence. Surprisingly, their souls and firstborn children were not on the list. However, the bill faces steep obstacles in Congress at a time when anti-immigrant sentiment is at a high. Durbin has been reintroducing similar bills since 2001 with no success.
That's it. That's our show. This was 5 on 20 News. My name is Richard Aguirre.
I'm Mike Esham.
And have an excellent night, Tucson.
Bye.
We did it.